And then all of a sudden I see like two shadows, and because they were like back doors, like in auditorium, it was kind of on a curve, like you would get stairs after stairs, there were chairs, so you could see the back door clearly from the stage. And I could see like two shadows like at the back door. And uh, one of them like kicked it once, uh, and then when he kicked it the second time, they broke the door and they came in. And all of a sudden they started screaming and shouting Allahu Akbar and all those. And there was firing. They started firing. And I was standing there confused, lost. I had no idea what was happening, who these people were. And I was in a shock. I went into a shock. I just froze on the place. I was just like, I just froze, like, I couldn't move. And I was just like standing still there. And I could see, like, like them like for a moment I could see like them shooting at the students at the back. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, whoa. And I still had no idea what was happening. Like, it was so sudden that I had no idea. Like, it wasn't even in my wildest imaginations that these would be terrorists or someone like that, and they would come in. So, I was so confused at that time, and then scared and frightened. And there were so many things going in my mind at that time. Like, and suddenly one of them, like, aimed his gun towards me, because I didn't go under the chairs at the time. Everything happened so suddenly, because I was still standing still, and I was standing at a distance from them, but they aimed their gun towards me and shot at me. And I got a bullet on my face. And at that time, maybe that first bullet, like, had like broken my jaw and my teeth and everything. And it was so painful that I screamed, and I screamed so loudly that I don't think so. I would have ever screamed that loud, or I will ever scream that loud in my life. Cause and I fell on the floor. And when I put my hand on the face, my hand went into my face. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, what's happening? I was in complete disbelief. I was like, did I just get shot? Am I going to die? And did my friend just died? Like the people I saw getting shot, I was like, did they just die? Like, and all these thoughts were going in my mind, and I couldn't believe it. I was telling myself, this is a dream. This is a dream. This is not real. Like, you never believe those sort of things. You hear these things in movies and in stories, and you never imagine that would happen to you. Like, and you not even in your wildest imagination, you can never imagine something like that happening to you. Yeah. So I mean, the thing was, I was all that time I was hoping that it would be a dream, and it wasn't, unfortunately. And at that time I was, for a moment at that time I was just laying down there, and I I was waiting to for my eyes to get closed. And I was just like, it's done now. But the hardest part for me was the acceptance. I wasn't accepting it. My mind wasn't accepting it. I was telling myself that this is not real. This cannot happen to me. I was telling myself, like, what about those plans that we had, becoming cricketers, like the career, everything. I was like, oh, like, what about the promises that I made to my parents? I'm like, this is not real. I was like, this cannot happen to me. This cannot happen to my friends, because because I had lost them, like, just in a matter of a minute or two. Like, they were no more with me, and I was like, they were just right here, like teasing me, making faces at me. And now it changed. Like our world has turned upside down, like in just a matter of 1 or 2 minutes. Like, I wasn't accepting this thing, and I was telling myself like, no, 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 this is not real. I'm not accepting it, and I kept saying, I'm like, no, no, this is not happening. And unfortunately, this was the reality. And when when those men, terrorists, when they saw that, I was still doing movements and I was still breathing, and I was still trying to get up, they shot me again, one after another, and they were checking everyone in the auditorium, like, people who would move or make any kind of noise, they would shoot them again. And the thing was, when they shot me again at that time, I was I was like, there's no way now I'm gonna make it. Like, it's like, the the pain was unbearable. The physical pain, the mental pain, because I was shattered both physically and mentally. Like, the I was going through hell, like, at that time, because I at first I couldn't comprehend with the fact that, this thing just happened to me, and that, I just lost my friends and me going after them. And the students, like, there was blood and there was, like, smoke, and couldn't see clearly in the auditorium, like, there was so much firing and blast and everything, that there was smoke then around, and and there was a time when I just accepted it. It's like, this is happening, and just accept it. And then all of a sudden, I don't know what struck me. I was like, as long as I'm breathing, I was like, I was telling myself, I was putting my hand, although I was breathing, my heart was beating, but every time I was putting my hand in front of my nose and my face, and I was like, I'm still breathing, and I was telling myself, I was encouraging myself that you're still breathing, you're not dead yet, you're still breathing. And at that time, I was lying down there, and I heard a few students that were running out of the auditorium, and at that time, I tried to move my hand and I tried to talk, because in my head I was thinking that I'm talking, but my face had opened up, my jaw was broken, my nose was broken, so you know people couldn't see that, obviously, like, there was, and I was covered completely in blood. So, and they were kids themselves, like, those, they had gone through the same thing that I just went through. And mm, so everyone was just running for themselves, and I wouldn't blame them, because they were kids. So there was no one to help me. And I was just lying there, and then I tried to stand up, because the pain in my face was so much that I didn't realize that I was shot on my leg as well. So my whole focus, and my arm as well, my whole focus was on my face, because it was so painful, and I thought I was shot there, and I didn't realize that I was shot somewhere else as well. So I tried to stand up with the help of chairs and everything in there, like the wall, but I couldn't. And I started dragging myself. I started dragging myself and started crawling and dragging, and and somehow, I managed to get out of auditorium towards the school wing. And uh, there was when I remember when I reached the library, there was a school wing library just, um, uh, so there were some students that were still coming out afterwards, from the school wing, and they didn't realize at that time, because I wasn't standing, and as I mentioned, it was chaos. It was absolute chaos. So they didn't realize that I was on the floor and I was dragging myself. So they started, like, running over me. So because of that, my hands and uh, the- my hands and back and lungs, they just got like damage as well. So um and I just at that time was just lying down there, and it was a corridor. So the library and the place is a corridor, so there's a library, and then you could see outside. And I still remember my face. I was standing, I was lying down like this on my face, and I could see outside, the outside bit, and with the firing and the blast going on, and I could see these birds flying from the tree. And I remember at that time I was praying, and I was like, I wish I was one of these and I could fly away from here easily. I was like, I was envying them at that time. I was like, they're so lucky, like they could fly easily. And
It must have felt like such a long time as well that everything was going on.
it was, the thing was, I had moved for like 10 meters or 15 meters barely, and it felt like I was traveling for like 1,000 miles, like so each and every meter, each and every feet was like such a big step for me, because I was having blood loss, and I was getting weaker and weaker, and dragging myself and everything, like the it was getting harder and harder for me, like it was getting worse and worse. And um the thing was, there was one thing that I was fortunate with, and I was fortunate enough, was that I was conscious, like I could see things, I could see them, and I could hear things. So the good thing was that I hadn't passed out, and I was conscious, so I was aware of my surroundings. And at that time, even that thing shocked me as well. I was like, how am I doing this? Like I'm just shot with bullets, like. And it was just like, I don't know, maybe some power, some kind of power was helping me. But the thing was, when I there was an year 7 class that was really close to it. So um, when I got there, like by dragging myself, eventually I get there. And at that time, by the time I reached that class, I had lost all my strength, as I mentioned, because I was losing it. I couldn't move an inch after that, because I had so much blood loss. I was getting unconscious slowly, slowly. My eyes were closing, and and I was in extreme pain. So I just laid down in front of the door. So there was the class, and some students were hiding in that class, but I just laid down in front of the door on the desk, and I just put my head on there were desks they put in front of the door, so I put my head on like one of them, and I was just lying down there, and I was in pain, and just, yeah, just kind of screaming and crying, and I was trying to make myself, like, I was trying to keep myself awake.
Mm.
Yes. The good thing was that I was thinking at that time, and I was like, if my eyes close, if my eyes gets closed there, the people that are gonna come and rescue us, they're gonna think that I'm dead. So I'll have to, like, keep myself conscious until that, and that's what I was trying to do, and I was trying to keep, and when I laid down in front of that door, that's when I realized that I was shot on my leg as well, because I saw a hole through my trousers and in my knee. So the thing was, that's when I realized that I was shot in there as well. Because all this time, my whole focus and everything was on my face, as I mentioned. I didn't know that I was shot anywhere else. So and then waiting there for like for 10 minutes, or maybe 15 minutes, because I mean, at that time, even every minute was like a century for me.
Thank you so much for listening to this segment. Please make sure to like and subscribe and follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you want to check out the full podcast, link is in the description. Thank you so much for listening.